most special thing about the Nutcracker to me is the music. With a production like Nutcracker, I was able to, figure out, okay, this is the colors I want for the costumes, this is the style I want for the backdrops, and this is like how many people I want in each piece. I looked at all the colors and the shapes of the licorice all sorts, and like there's this like really like, it's like a pink one that's like got like sprinkles all over it and looks like this basically. Nutcracker is hard because you have such a short time to rehearse it. I do rely sometimes on dancers that have been in the production before, and I'm dealing with basically an entire new cast. One of the most important moments for the rehearsal process is when the dancers have stopped thinking. They're not thinking about what step comes next anymore. And also even maybe starting to envision themselves on stage.
Break your neck a bit for me, okay?
When I can see the dancers finally just moving, then I'm like, okay, this is going to be good. Working with kids and young people is extremely challenging as a professional because you have to, it's not that you have to lower your expectations for them, it's that you have to have the correct expectations for them. A child is going to perform wonderfully on stage if you really give them a sense for the joy of it and not a sense for like, it could be scary. I find when I have the full cast together, there's like 80 students in the room and they're all looking, well, at me the entire time. So it's this like sort of like, oh.
Just go ahead and stand in your places, please. We don't have any minutes left. Okay, I'm not stopping because you did something wrong. I'm stopping because I really want to fix something for the way that it looks from back here. Go ahead, back up in the straight line from your line. Back up, 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 stop. Okay, can I get everyone from the party scene on the stage just really quickly?
Last minute changes are really thrilling sometimes, and how everybody responds to them and adapts.
So I know this is tricky because it's not what we always practice. We're usually closer together, but this is how it's gonna look the best.
I want to see dancers that I'm working with really express themselves and who they are. And when you're new to that, when you're a young dancer and that's not something you've experienced before, that can be a hard cue to follow. I like to try to make it a little bit silly if I can, loosen them up, and then we can get serious.
3, 4, 5, 6, and 1.
Formations are sometimes the essence of what people remember. So for me, that's something that's really important. I find myself, when I'm getting closer and closer to a show, just thinking about it all the time. It's always running through my mind, all the details, everything I need to accomplish.
You should know how to do your own hair. I tried, but I don't.
Again, if you have the right tools,
It's easier.
Sure.
It will help you. I know. I can't.
Suck in.
Yeah.
Okay. Sign my card. Can you sign this card?
I can.
This is 5 minutes until places. 5 minutes until places. Thank you.
Okay. I just want to make sure because like my mom's helping in her room, so if you.
People you know, stop dancing along the way too. We have to pick up the pieces, put them back together in a new way, and then also take all that energy that we've been saving and make it an explosion on stage.
To me, I've got this hunger. It's this whole be a lifelong learner, you know, seek the truth in everything. You know, get rid of the fluff in the world. My mother was 14 years old when her older brother brought a 27-year-old friend of his to the house, and he ended up seducing her, and she got pregnant at 14. Soon after she got pregnant, they put her in a convent in a little town up north called Blind River. She had me there, and then 6 weeks after, she gave me up for adoption. My natural mother's sister adopted me, so my aunt. At 16, something happened. I don't know what the trigger was, but I went home and I told my parents that, you know what, I'm not going to church anymore. They said, well, if you're not going to church, you need to leave. So I had a few clothes that I took, and I just left and went and lived in an abandoned house. Grade 11, I switched to Coppercliff High School. Was kneeling in front of my locker at school, and I looked over, and there was a pair of green leotards and a brown coat, and I looked up and I met your grandmother.
A crab leg? You pay like $10 a pound for those.
Look at this. See this?
I can see something.
I met him in school, at our lockers. And then we just hung around, and my stepmother kicked him out of my house. So I left with him.
Yeah, she took care of me for a while until we got married at 18, so I had your Uncle Jason when I was 19. 3 years later, so 22, and then Uncle Tyler a year after that. So by 24, I had 3 kids.
It was hard because we were in Toronto. Yeah, and we lived in a basement apartment. Yeah.
Around 2000 or 2001, the technology world kind of collapsed. But the bank told me that, sorry, we're pulling your line of credit, so you don't have any more money. So I basically had to just shut it down, and probably didn't work for a couple of years.
Happy Easter.
We had a big storm here in Ottawa, and Uncle Darren was working. And with my technology, I said I would go in and help him get himself organized and build a database and a system and stuff. And then while I was there, I was like looking around, I was like, I could do better than this. So I convinced him and another guy to build our own company. So now we bought into the network, so we now do business as Paul Davis.
Part of what we do is a lot of the work we do is related to flooding. We go in and we use big extractors to suck all the standing water out.
And we serve a community of Ottawa, taking care of people in their time of need. Usually it's related to, starts off from a disaster perspective where something happened with their home, and we go in and we clean it up, and then we rebuild their house back to the state it was before it. If Uncle Darren wasn't in this picture, and I grew it to a $50 million business, all the work that I put into building this business, somebody else would take it, even though they didn't put anything into it. It's not going to be about building things of the world. It's about building relationships. You know, there was a time when I was closed, way too closed. And I think I missed a lot of my kids' childhood.
But I do remember them going through some hard times. Maybe it was a low point in his life. I'm assuming that's what it was.
We were drifting apart. Like, we were fighting a lot, but I recognized that, oh my goodness, I really messed that up.
I went to see him one night. We had an office on San Ron Boulevard, and I went in and the lights were all off, and it was probably around 7:30, and I was just finishing work, and he was in there by himself reading the Bible.
I'll say, like, once he found God, I know there was a time where I didn't really understand the term born again.
Yeah, I don't really know how I felt. Like, you didn't see changes right away. I don't know what brought him into it. I think he was having a rough time with life.
We didn't grow up religious, so that was that caught me off guard.
What he's taught me is allows me to look at other people and just really truly care for them. I look back on my childhood. He kept me safe for the journey of making it through my childhood until I met your grandma. And in the midst of all of that, I survived. How did I survive? I do think God took care of me. You can watch us work coming back together, and we have something amazing going on here that, no, I can't even count anymore, but 23, 24 people get together whenever we do, and it's always great. There's way more to this world than what you see in front of you. We're never going to be happy. No matter what you get in life, you're never going to fill that heart because you're always going to be looking for something else. Learn how to give yourself away, because that's where the joy is.
Good morning, my lovelies. There you go.
My name's Jonathan Wallace. I'm 51 years old. I'm a cash crop farmer, custom worker, and we do firewood and logging.
I'm Owen Wallace, and I'm a fourth-generation farmer, and I live and work at Wallace Farms.
Anyway, long story short, Mark and I went to school together. We're the same age.
I met John in school, and we've been friends ever since, and now I work for him. I am a farm hand here at Wallace Farms, on and off for 20 years. I started with John's father. In the fall, I run the combine.
Corn coming off today. On Wallace Farms, we kind of work by the weather. So at the beginning of the year, we plant all the crops in the ground. That's where we put all our money in the ground, and at the end we harvest it all up. And then in the middle of it comes hay season once summer hits, and that's pretty big for us because that's another huge source of income. Then after the hay season, we go right to harvest, and that takes us right into the winter. The harvest is really important because it's our main source of income.
What I enjoy the most about farming is being outside and planting a crop and harvesting that crop in the fall. Just makes you feel good. It's like a full circle. This year's harvest is going quite good. Crops are plentiful. Weather's good. It's been nice. No rain. We've had lots of opportunity to get fields harvested and worked for next spring. So, yeah, it's been going very well. Well, combine caught fire last night. I guess we'll be down for a couple days. She didn't burn too bad. We could fix it.
Hey Mark, I just got off the phone with Cody at Delta. Yeah, it's not good news. They don't know where the parts are. They shipped them. They thought they had them. They thought they shipped them. They end up in Timbuktu. We might be stuck here with this weather coming in. Anyway, we'll just see what happens in the morning. He said he was going to look into it this afternoon and see what he could find out.
Got the combine all fixed up this morning. We're rolling again. We got to hurry it up though because we got snow coming in about 2 days and we still got about 200 acres of corn left. So we got to get rolling. Pitter patter, let's get at it. Farming is a all year round task and you're always working. Now that the harvest is done this year, we drink. On the farm, we're all like a family, even though we're not related. Half of us aren't related. We're all a big family. We're all the Wallace Farms family, and we all work together. We all love each other, and we do our very best to keep our way of life going.
If you sat down at the end of the day and talked to your banker, they'd say, you know, John, why do you do this? I love it. What else do I do? I've always done it. Hats off, boys, to another great harvest. It didn't go smooth every day, but we got through it.
You look around and you realize, wow, this is a special type of life, and it's something that the world needs. The world needs these farmers, so we need to keep rolling. It's simple. It's an easy way of life. You're working hard and you do this job your whole life. It's that easy. It's just what's in our blood. We come from a long line of farmers, so it's literally just passed down.
Yeah, it's a way of life. That's what it is.
We do the same thing over and over again until we die.
Oh, they're gonna carry me out of here in a box. I'm never leaving.
Drag is everything you need in life.
Drag in general is honestly like everything that you want it to be.
Well, for me, drag is the ultimate self-expression.
So I was eating a cracker. I'm not kidding. I was eating a cracker and it was a saltine and I ate it. And then I was like, wouldn't it be funny if my name was Saltina. And then like from like the salty crumbs, I was born. So I'm in my master's. I'm in environmental sustainability at Ottawa, and I only have my research paper left to do, which I'm really excited about. I have my drag goals, but I also have like Jesse's goals. And Jesse's goals obviously are like, I want to meet somebody. I want to spend time with my friends and family. I want, you know, maybe like a kitten or something. I don't know.
So I work for the government. During the day, I work in like strategic HR. So drag was a way for me to kind of get back into performing while at the same time embracing my queer identity. I really like how the Ottawa drag scene is honestly pretty supportive of each other.
We call it drag family. We are really family. We are sisters and brother because we have drag kings too. Please book the drag kings, book them. First time I saw a drag show that was back home, back in my country. And to be honest with you, I didn't like drag queens. This is weird, like why they have to wear dress like a woman. And then when I moved to Canada, and then I decided to go to the club one night and I saw the drag queen, I was like...
Eventually I did find out about other types of drag performers, especially drag kings. So I am a master's student at the University of Ottawa for a Master's of Environmental Sustainability. When I first started, I was expecting this to really just be like a once every few months kind of thing, and it just kind of took off unexpectedly.
Tonight the girls are out in dresses, heels and mini clutch. We got our favorite bling, our silver chains, big rings and such. We're here to party with the girls, we built it up so much. And when we're dancing all night, boys can look but don't touch. You are a beauty, be who you wanna be. Dress it up, dress it down, LBD and jeans. Girl, you're a cutie, be who you want.
We're very close. We're very supportive, and we'll always kind of like, I'll always give like old costumes that I don't want anymore. Even on weekends too, we'll allow anybody to do a few numbers. So I think it's super important to like lift up the new drag talent.
I love how inclusive they've gotten over the last year.
Especially when I started drag, I was one of the only plus size performers. So I didn't really have anybody that I could look to. I've gotten more comfortable with my body, especially plus size women coming up to me after shows saying, you know, seeing you doing this, it really inspires me and it makes me feel better about myself.
But in terms of like my invisible disability, you'd be able to obviously see that I have one if I were to take my shirt off. It just consists of like chronic pain, chronic fatigue, a lot of bowel discomfort, bowel movements, you know, irritable bowels, all that fun stuff.
My father, he's the special one. Most of my family, they don't know I do drag. So when I came up as a gay man, I was almost 18 years old, and my father kicked me out from the house. We weren't talking like for years. And it's me been trying, hi dad. It was like, no, you're not my son. I don't have a son gay. And sometimes, yeah, I cry. I was feeling sad about that, but I was like, one day, I'm not going to change. I'm going to make him change.
So are you guys ready to start this show?
Drag is expensive.
Several $100s a month.
My Halloween costume this year, I spent $1,000.
Because that's when you're spending money on all the makeup. You're spending money on the palettes, the costumes, the shoes, the this, the that.
I know when you go to a drag show and you say, oh, this is so beautiful, makeup, outfits and that. But we spend a lot of money. That's why drag is expensive.
It needs money. So help us make some soup and
you can't really predict as a drag queen because first of all you're going to get old.
But at the same time, I am in school. I did have all these plans to have a career in my field. So if I'm being honest, I don't really know.
The two different worlds can absolutely like live in harmony, but it's just a matter of seeing which one kind of takes hold of me first, you know? Honestly, I would choose the thing that means the most to me in the moment. And in that moment, that is drag.
I've been curling for about 14, 15, 16 years at this point. I started curling when I was about 6 or 8, but as early as you could get into curling there. My parents put me in there because they wanted us to play as a family there.
Curling, actual, I only curled for 3 seasons. So 2004 to 2007. Curling was in my family. It was, my parents both curled. My dad was very avid at curling and somewhat successful in cash spiels and adult leagues and such.
Well, I took up curling in my midlife, you might say, my mid to late 30s probably. But after about 3 years or so there, I became more interested in doing more competitive curling.
My family and my in-laws were all both avid curling players and fanatics, and my wife, she was into curling. Part of what she wanted to do was to get the 3 of us curling.
But that didn't end up really happening too much. My mom got cancer. We played on the ice about 2 times before she passed away. But those times were pretty, that we got were pretty fun there. Curling has definitely impacted my social life. Without it, I don't think I would have had much of a social life. It's very community-based. It's all about treating your players and everything respectfully, and even the other team. Even in games, you'll see people on the other team, if they make a nice shot against them, they'll say nice shot instead of being all pissed at that. If you win a game, you buy the other team drinks. And I think that's just very great.
Because that's basically curling. It's a very social game. It's a very social impact.
You know, it's a very nice game that way. You're a team, you know, and of course you work as a team. You live and fall as a team, as you know. And there's a little bit of socializing before and after the game. So there's a lot of aspects to it that I really, really enjoy very much.
Hi, I'm Paula. I'm 20 years old and I'm a TikToker, and I have POTS and Crohn's.
My name is Reagan Rose and I'm from South Dakota and I have POTS. POTS is a form of dysautonomia, which is dysfunction of the autonomic nervous system. Basically, with positional changes, our heart rate and blood pressure don't regulate properly, which causes our heart rates to get way higher, our blood pressure to drop, and a lot of unpleasant symptoms such as syncope, pre-syncope, dizziness. I was experiencing symptoms for about a year and a half before I got my diagnosis, and it completely changed my life.
I started to realize that the community of us POTSies is actually really large, and especially of girls my age going through this too. I found that having a support system to lean on, especially ones with people that are going through the same thing, was really helpful. So I started to share online as a way to find a support, but also to raise awareness for those that are probably going through the same thing and don't want to speak up about it.
When I first got sick, I felt like nobody understood me, and I turned to social media and watched different creators, and they made me feel heard and seen. And after I got my diagnosis, I just really wanted to be that helpful person for people. My account was small for a really long time, and I was kind of just posting to cope, dealing with all of my symptoms. Then I posted a video of some of my fainting episodes and gained a lot of traction, and I gained a lot of followers from it, and that's kind of where my account started to grow.
I hope that I can turn this into like a career, honestly speaking. I think I've found my place in this community and I found my voice as well. I think it's a powerful one and it's one that people listen to. If I can make a difference in any way possible and I can make someone feel seen and, you know, just less alone, I want to keep doing that for as long as I can.
My experience with the online chronic illness and POTS community has been amazing so far. It's actually how I've met a lot of my super close friends now. Honestly, it's just been super nice to be able to find other people who understand and who know what it's like living with chronic illness.
Anyone that doesn't believe what I'm going through or discredits how much I've gone through, try it.
You should really count your blessings because most of us got sick out of nowhere, and you can become chronically ill or disabled at any point in your life. It doesn't matter how young or old you are. It really can just happen out of nowhere.
To anyone with POTS, I would just simply say that I freaking get it. Like, I understand entirely how difficult this is and how some days you literally just want to give up, but I do want to tell everyone that it does get better, and every single day that I keep pushing on is one day further that I can say that I've kicked POTS in the butt.
Any words of wisdom? Oh boy, I don't know. Eat your salt, drink your water.
It's something that should never stop you from living your life. As much as it does, try to. I don't let it. I'm the boss. Period.
I'm inspired by other art around me. So like seeing other people doing really cool stuff. That's what Ottawa has right now. So much talent that seeing it day in and day out and seeing everyone kill it, that's inspiring as hell. Some of the art that I'm most proud of as of late, honestly, it's been like the last 10 projects or 20 projects. It's all been different. I've been painting for a couple years pretty steady now and doing lots of walls. It's getting really tight. I painted my second silo this year and it was wild because not only was it taller than the first one, but the lift that I was on, it was like twice the length, like the biggest machine I've ever used. I just finished the biggest interior wall that I've ever been commissioned to do. It was a green wall, so it did black on green. The green monster, they called it. Yeah, it was wild. It was a wild week. Yeah. I've been painting for a better part of 15 years, probably. I got started in the business late 20s, taking it seriously, you know, like for a while it was just art and I just wanted to paint and not even think about it being a business, you know, like a lot of it only came from like the passion of painting really young and doing it for fun. But I got into it based on street art, being around and seeing it day in, day out, like living downtown and walking around and seeing it. Eventually selling the product and working in the industry and, you know, just looking up to writers and, you know, some of the artists that started it for Ottawa, really. I don't think there's any beef between artists in Ottawa. I mean, jealousy is one thing for people to be, you know, seeing somebody do good, but the majority of the artists that are doing it here in Ottawa, for sure, they're all homies. I was at Sino Shop in Montreal and I was chopping it up with somebody working there and he was saying how Montreal, they think that they're like New York graffiti writers, like there's so much beef, crews are battling, whatever. And Ottawa's not like that. I kind of like the idea of it not being kind of a battle, you know? It's more like the community we have is something we're like really holding on to and we're really supporting, that there's no way that there's room for people to start like throwing people under the bus or anything. It's like, yeah, Ottawa's always been good for it. And we're recommending people to people. It's like, oh, you need a portrait artist? Dan Metcalf, I got you. You need some florals done? Chalk by Map. It's a super tight community like that. In the beginning, I kind of just wanted to start a clothing line. I didn't think I was going to paint full-time right away. So I hopped into like selling clothes and managing stores and kind of working that part of the industry. And I would just set up at bars or set up and sell t-shirts and sweaters to friends and then have it kind of evolve. But that also came with art, like streetwear and art. It was like the same thing. It's like skateboarding and breakdancing and hip hop, and it's all the same stuff. It became much more than that for sure. I opened a gallery in 2010 on Bank in Somerset. It was kind of a venue. We were doing like whatever we could at night to make money as well to sustain the business, but open during the day as retail and just an art gallery. But eventually was around spray paint, selling spray paint, and meeting artists alike, and then forming a collective and throwing art shows, and kind of spiraled. Everything spiraled. It wasn't enough to kind of keep everything afloat with all of those outlets. We were like, there were so many elements coming in. It was a pretty good push for the time that we had it. As of late, I've been getting really stoked on almost every wall that I do. So the last 10 walls that I've touched, I've been kind of at a different caliber, and I don't have an answer on why that is. We've been painting for years and hundreds of walls, but there's something about what's happening now that's really affected my work, and I'm excited to see where it takes me. At the beginning, it was always just like experimenting with spray paint, markers, and graffiti, and we're now able to do it day in and day out, where originally it was more for the love of street art and graffiti, but now it's turned into a full business and doesn't seem to be slowing down. Yeah, graffiti and tagging and making stickers and like all that was part of the beginning process of where we are now, for sure. It's all you did. It's like if you weren't making stickers, you're at least catching tags on the way home. You still worked a day job, but definitely unpaid for like a decade. And then when you started making money, it was very little money, but it was a start. So if somebody was gonna give you $50, $100 to paint, say at a club night or whatever, you were there. It was still money, Yeah, I remember it being like a very slow approach to me painting walls. And then it obviously still wasn't full-time. I've only been full-time for 2 years. I eventually just had to take that plunge where you're just gonna hope that it continues, you're gonna ride the wave. And it's been a trip, it's been nonstop, and I'm blessed for that. So I recommend that everyone takes that kind of risk at least once in their life, or twice if they could pull it off, where they just kind of like go for it or whatever. I don't think it would be like this now if it wasn't for doing it for free for 10 years. Unless you have a super, super unique product, it's gonna take time. And that's just what it is.
We did it.
Queerness is what fuels my creativity. With my transformer sisters close to my chest, I can think. Feminine energies circle around me, as the fluid in my ears makes the room spin me like in a romantic dance. As I dip down, inspiration strikes. Art's important to me because it's the foundation of everything, and without it, we wouldn't have anything else.
It's a tool of resistance, it's a tool of creation, it's, how we just better learn about each other.
I started making art when I was 6 months old because someone gave me a pencil and I liked it. And then I guess I kind of grew up with it, and I turned out to be pretty good at it. I remember being 2 years old and people asking me, oh, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I'd say, I just want to be an artist. Doesn't matter what kind. I like to say that I'm a storyteller above everything else. I make things, I create things, I draw, I paint, I write, I make music. I also make short films, but the ultimate goal is to tell a story, which is why I say that I'm a storyteller. My aesthetic and my art style is very, I'm just gonna use the word queer, because it's influenced by queer culture. It's also influenced by the surrealist movement, so I guess I could say that it is surreal. I first knew that I was queer when I was, I think, 12, but I've always been very queer. Growing up, I was the type of kid that would wear a Halloween costume every single day, and sometimes that costume would be, you know, of a girl character. And then when I was 12, I was like, I think that maybe there's a term for this, and so I went with bisexual, and then I realized that maybe I'm non-binary, and you know, that's just part of the journey to discovering that I am transgender. I have been disobeying gender roles from the day of my birth up until right now. My genitals don't define me. Yours don't define you. As a queer person, I like to explore queer topics, and one of the social issues is that there are a lot of things that are against queer people, and I think that by creating all these pieces of art that are inherently queer, it just allows people to see it and maybe learn to respect it more. I'd like to be someone who fought for what they believed in and represented a lot of people in a good way, who was among the bravest of queer folk to fight publicly for our rights, which are always getting taken away. I am scared. I'm scared that I wouldn't get hired for my identity. I'm scared to speak because my voice might not match my appearance.
You know, there is such a rise in intolerance and hate, particularly towards the queer and trans communities these days.
I've encountered homophobia, transphobia, every single phobia that is against queer people. And it's affected me in both a negative and a positive way, because with it came a lot of feelings that I needed to express and that I put into my art. But it also made me really, really sad, and it made my life a lot harder than it had to be. But I guess beautiful things came out of it, so I can't be too upset. Living in a very small town, for a lot of people refuse to consume the media that queer people produce. And so our audience is a bit smaller, unfortunately. But since I was so young when I started showing it publicly, people back home really, really liked it. And so I got that praise for it. Even though I did find success in a small town, it was hard to get out of that and find success all over the world.
I think if you're trying to weigh success in a small town versus a large city, sometimes in a larger city where like a creative industry is, you have to go there in order to, you know, build a career and to boost your professionalism.
Since being in a bigger city, I have found it a lot more difficult because things are less reachable, and I don't know anyone.
It's unfortunate to think that you have to go through this world alone, and as queer artists, we're always trying to find each other and find our kin within the community. So I think it's really important that, you know, as we're building an artistic community, that we do rely on each other and that we have, you know, other artists to work around and with and be inspired by.
I'd like to tell queer people and queer artists that they are so cool and so awesome, and their community is so strong and amazing. And keep expressing yourself. It's important.
Find the other outsiders and, you know, the weirdos who are championing your work, and, you know, lean on them for support.
You know, we've been here for a long time, and we're not leaving. We're progressing, and it's because of y'all. I'm so proud to be a part of it.
My name is Randy. For fighting game stuff, I go by Perfect World, and I'm a tournament organizer with Downtown Rumble. Well, the Ottawa FGC standing for Fighting Game Community, just a bunch of guys that like to play fighting games and like to meet up in person to play fighting games. I think right now, definitely the most dominant players, and that have been dominant for a while, and you have Glacial Rain, you have Essay, Sora as well, so he doesn't play like as much as the others, but there's also Krakatoa.
I like beating up young people.
Yeah, I guess that's the 4 biggest heads I can think of when it comes of Exerd. If you play Exerd in Eastern Canada, like there are a lot of Ottawa players you need to watch out for.
My name is Andrew. I go by Glacial Rain in competitive circles, and I mainly play Guilty Gear.
Andrew's a really strong player. He definitely has put a lot of time into the game, and it definitely shows. At this point, I would think he was probably one of the strongest Exerd players in Ottawa.
How you see Andrew like play in other out-of-town tournaments, like he really just dominates the competition when it comes to Montreal and Ottawa. Every Montreal monthly he's been to, every Exerd bracket we've had here, he's just won everything.
First game, playing against Scott, longtime training partner. We both understand how each other play. We know what's up, and just some unfortunate execution errors and a couple of mistakes here and there, and he just took advantage of that and cleaned it up, sent me in the losers. So I had to make my losers top 8 run there against Sage, another long-time Ottawa head.
Yeah, I think this is it, definitely. Yeah,
and then of course Chachaman, another old head from Toronto, playing Melia.
Oh no!
Got into losers finals where I got my run back against Scott, and changed things around there, made some adaptations to just kind of counter his game plan a bit.
That was really fast. All right, so Glacial Rain versus Pepper Splash, I think. Andrew, I remember yesterday he was like, yeah, Peppery Splash is the only person I'm scared of in this bracket, so. He's been, I think he has the most consistent tournament record for quite a while, right? Yes, yeah. Was that sweep? Is that a sweep RC? Did I see that right? This is a bit of an ambitious turn to use. Oh my god, I think he's dead. Oh, yeah. He's super. Yeah. And that's gonna be a perfect in Glacial Rain. Like stop to see what's there. Oh my god, this is sad crash scared. Oh my god, nice 6P from Peppery Splash. And Peppery Splash is going to take Guilty Gear.
And then grand finals, Peppery is just, he's a different breed. He's really, really good at the game. Whenever you play a player of that caliber, you really just want to take that experience and learn as much as you can from it, right? You don't want to go in with like an ego, or you don't want to feel like your ego is shattered by losing like that, right? You want to like look at that and be like, okay, that sucked, but how can I analyze my match and learn from it and be better for the next one, right? Because he's going to do the same, and the reason why he's so good is because he does that. So good stuff to him, nothing but respect. I'm happy with second place, and yeah, just an absolute blast. Can't wait for next year.
I feel like painting saved my life, Always been around crime, always doing stuff, getting in trouble since I was 12. I started painting when I was 30, and it's kind of kept me out of all that trouble.
Our crew is ASAP. We started it about 3 years ago.
There's a lot of meanings to it. Really just means let's get that wall ASAP if we see it kind of thing. It was Mimic and Mobs who started ASAP. I believe it was 2020, but me and him have been chilling for years.
I got put in the crew ASAP because I was just doing a lot of tagging, and my friend Mimic wanted me to join a crew, which I've never done before. It saved my life from a lot of mental health issues that I was facing. Definitely lots of addiction issues that helped me through that. It got me to meet some people who were in the same way of life, and it made us get better.
I grew up with a troubled past, spent some time in jail, dealt with a lot of shit before graffiti. Alcohol, drugs, broken homes, kids when I was young, you know, so when I found this, it almost grounded me. It gave me a reason to go to work every day, you know what I mean? It's not easy. And that's why a lot of people, you know, come in and out or fall off.
We're a graffiti company. We remove graffiti for everybody all over the city. I don't mind graffiti. I like real nice graffiti when it's actually a picture of something, but that to me is not graffiti. That's just vandalism when they just put a tag with a letter or a word that most of it I can't even read. But to me, graffiti is just a job. Like, I don't hate graffiti. It doesn't bother me.
I've never lived in a spot where they don't care about the graffiti. I've always been here, so I've always known of the buff. That's why I try to find spots, bandos, farms, under bridges that nobody goes under. ASAP, I always had big dreams with ASAP. Me and Mobs, you know, we always, we didn't want to turn our backs to anybody.
We just wanted a place for us and our friends to represent ourselves, right? And for people who felt like us to, you know, maybe reach out to us.
You can't just paint anywhere you want. There's probably 100 walls out there that I found that, you know, you're taking a huge risk to get. It's the adventure, man. There's nothing like finding the next wall to paint.
Art in general definitely draws us together. I've been friends with most of them for quite a long time now, many, many years.
ASAP has built its own community with just a bunch of people that didn't really fit into other groups.
We're kind of like showing the youngins, so it's funny to see the last 10 years, you know, it's been great. Maybe it's ASAP's time right now, who knows.
Hi, my name is Caleb, and I'm an artist. I've been drawing for as long as I can remember. My current program in school is completely unrelated to visual art or anything creative, really. I'm in finance. I definitely would have enjoyed the last couple of years more if I had gone into a creative career path. I feel like there's a point in your life, and it usually comes around the age of deciding what program to study in post-secondary school. You know, are you gonna go for the more dreamer's route where you pursue the closest thing you have to a passion, or of, you know, finding a more traditional job, something more grounded? Yeah, I definitely chose the latter. I feel like I'm wasting my life, to be honest with you. It's not so unique a situation. I feel like a lot of young adults my age are not super secure in, you know, where they find themselves in life, but if it's all a matter of figuring things out as you go along. There is definitely a huge imbalance between my passion for art and my goals as a person in terms of like what success means to me in terms of being financially stable and such things like that. So that's what's preventing me from pursuing art. Yeah, I'll definitely never stop drawing on some level or in some capacity. It's definitely a part of me. I've been doing it since I was a kid. And it would be kind of sad to see someone's artwork or just be walking on the street and see a visual piece that I find skillful or something like that, and realize that I no longer have the ability to even do something close to that. So I'll definitely keep my abilities at a certain level where I don't get too jealous of other people's talents.